Who is Ian McConnell? That may be the question you're asking yourself. Well, Ian McConnell is not Kroger brand Ed Sheeran and he is not sexy Kermit the Frog, despite what he may want you to believe. Ian is a 27-year-old musician from TikTok that recently blew up due to his truthful, yet somehow still peppy songs about life and his journey so far. He is about 100 things we could list and somehow still a much bigger sum than all the parts. This interview was fun and energetic. Odd and Ian hit it off, and we hope you enjoy this interview.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another interview session for the Cult of Odd, and with me this time is my guest, Ian McConnell. Now, if you don't know who Ian McConnell is, that's okay, you will. He is a internet sensation. He's a fantastic musician. He is a snarky son of a bitch, too, if you read his bio. I gotta say, by far, best bio I've read so far.
That's fantastic. I had so much fun. I've actually written like 12 or 13 drafts of different bios of varying degrees of truthfulness. This one is the one that I have up is mostly true, but some of them are really wild.
I always joked because I've got memory issues from several accidents and stuff that I was in as a kid. If I ever sit down to write like an autobiography or whatnot like that, I always said that the subheading would be a mostly accurate telling.
I like it. That's cool. It's like a memoir. Everything is a memoir. Memory is unreliable anyway.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah, it's my story, and I get to write.
It's all about the story.
Yeah. Okay, so first things first. What kind of kid were you?
What kind of kid was I? I was Okay, so there's like kid and then there's teenager. As a kid, I was very like, my mom would be like, you need to go outside and like go play. And so I would go outside and like listen to my book on tape while sitting outside or whatever. And then when I got into like middle school and high school, I was like, all right, I'm going to be like active and I'm going to be sporty and blah, blah, blah. But I also have to play the cello. I was just a big nerd. I was a nerd. I liked like in my free time, I would like do little math puzzles or like read atlases or read whatever other books or something like that. So yeah, I just like was an interested kid. I was interested in like a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Thank you. You've made me feel normal. I listen to comedy tapes and I enjoy a good reference novel or a reference book.
What comedy were you listening to at the time?
I was listening to stuff like Amos and Andy, Abbott and Costello, like the old greats, stuff that I was able to get my hands on as a kid.
Sweet.
Yeah, I got a little cassette tape player, and it was much the same thing. It was, you go do something. All right, fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, and like I said, reference books. I love a good reference book. It does not matter what the subject is, as long as it is useless knowledge and I can fill my brain with it.
My shit was always like Guinness Book of World Records. I would just like read it or whatever. And I had this book that I got at the Scholastic Book Fair. You know about the Scholastic Book Fair?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Called the Book of Lists. And it's, now horribly outdated. It's like, what's the highest grossing movie? Titanic. No, not really. But, at the time I was like, this is so fascinating. Look, here's just lists of stuff.
Yeah. My mom actually had a Guinness Book of World Records, but then she also had a book about the history of freak shows.
Okay.
And like the performers and stuff like that. So like that was my in, right? I started reading all this. I was like, I want more books like this.
That's so fascinating. Freak shows, like circuses in general are just so fascinating for so many reasons, but like there's not a lot of like info about like the humanity of the people who were hired.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of info of like, Water for Elephants or whatever, of like the people who are running the show. But
yeah, there needs to be more focus on the individuals that were attractions, essentially.
Yeah.
So you kind of hit it big during the pandemic, right?
Hit it big. I'm still waiting to hit it big, baby. But I started making consistent content in the pandemic. I was in 2020. I was making country music. And I was like, okay, I'll like make this country music, which I feel a little weird about because I'm not country in any way. I'm from suburban Washington, D.C. But that's just how I learned to make music. I moved to Nashville and learned to write in the country style. So I was like, well, I guess this is what I do. I'm in Nashville. Guess I'll make country music. And so I was doing that and simultaneously trying to like take off on TikTok, whatever that meant. And the way my like little way in was I would write these little one-liner jokes and I would sing them. And I would do that 4 times a day for about 6 months. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I went and checked before we started the interview. 527,500 followers. So you've got a couple of half people. Like
exactly.
How do you get half a follower?
half a follower, exactly. Yeah, man, it's those like followers and whatever really come in fits and starts. It's just it's like sometimes things will be blowing up and then you're invisible for a little while and then you pop up again. Yeah.
Well, and I'm blown away at the fact that you did country music.
Oh yeah, for a long time. And I actually have, I mean, I write country music for some other artists too. Still. But I have learned the last 2 years have just been like epiphany after epiphany, but it seems like they all came right together, but they were, like a month or two apart here and there. And like I went 5 months without one or whatever, but realizing how much like my whole life has been like when I was growing up and stuff, I was like a kid that everybody knew and everybody liked me and whatever, but I was never like in a real like close friend group growing up. And so I was just like, well, do you guys want to hang out with me? And it's like, yeah, you can hang out with us, but like if you're not here at this party, it will still be a fine party. And I feel similarly about trying to do country. I'm like, well, can I like fit in here? And then after a while I was like, well, I don't fit in here. So last year I put out like 3 or 4 like kind of punk tracks, like whatever I thought punk was, which was like 2007, whatever. And I was like, okay, well maybe I can fit in here. Can I like hang out with y'all? And that kind of scene was like, well, the songs are good, but like you
can't sit with us.
You don't fit here. Like you can talk to us, that's fine, but like we're gonna go to the metal concert, and you're probably not gonna come, are you? So, yeah. So now I just I don't know where I fit now. I just make stuff. TikTok seems to be where I fit.
Well, you're in your mid-20s, right?
I'm 27. I'm actually 27 and 1/6 as of today.
Math nerd.
Yeah, actually as of 13 minutes ago. Hey.
Okay, so the epiphany thing, you're right on track, at least for, average human. Cool. In your mid-20s, everything starts smacking you in the face like, oh, I never thought of it that way. I never thought of it that way. I was such a fucking idiot.
Oh, I know. And it's so funny because it's just like, it all seems to start, at least for me, it all started with like realizing that all the people that I thought had all the right answers were just kind of winging it. They're doing their best. They're making educated guesses, but they don't have the right answers. And I'm like, nobody's got the right answers. What am I going to do?
We're all full of shit.
Yeah. But it's all right. Some people are wiser than others, and you can put yourself wherever.
Sometimes that shit smells better than others.
Exactly.
But I will say that kind of shows through in your music, though, that you don't have a particular genre, and I think that's actually a good thing because I think you're kind of writing your own, because it's like half pop, half rap, half punk, half. Going back and thinking about it now that the songs that I listen to, there I can see a little bit of the country in there too. Like you would be, I would call you 21st century music.
I like that. There is something like I think that gets overlooked in country, especially now. The Nashville scene really loves it, but country has like a good amount of punchlines in it, and it's just like the classic Nashville song is very much like do a whole verse to intro this concept. And then chorus comes and it hits you with a hook. And the hook is always some kind of like, oh, you got me kind of thing. And so like learning how to do that was extremely helpful in doing songs. Like my song Friends is very like kind of get you with the misdirection kind of vibes and stuff like that. So I learned a lot from country, man. It's cool.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, So my wife is the one that brought your music to me. I had seen you on TikTok and I had become jaded at that point of trying to reach out to TikTok musicians because I've been trying to reach out to TikTok musicians for a year and a half, man. Like
Yeah.
I want to I'll interview you. I want to play your music, you know, no strings attached. There's nothing that you need to do other than provide me with the music and show up when we set the interview. And like, either they flat out ignore me or they'll start to like converse back and forth with me and then they'll just disappear. Like I get ghosted and I'm like, oh, all right, cool.
So I gotta say, man, it's tough. Like not to like be braggy or to my own horn or whatever, but like I receive hundreds of messages every day.
Yeah.
And sometimes it just gets lost. Like, you know, sometimes I'm sure people are just ignoring you because people are people, but like it is really easy for things to get lost. I have meant to send like the stems for someone to remix my songs for like 4.5 weeks, and I just keep not doing it because I keep getting distracted. So. But now I'm reminded, hey, I have ignored somebody. Well, I didn't mean to.
And it's difficult too, because like I do understand because I am a one-man show myself. You know, I know you have representation and whatnot because I've spoke with them. But it is difficult when you are a one-man show to keep all of those ducks in a row when those ducks are snorting cocaine and trying to run all over the pond.
It is, and it's also like when I'm not releasing something, or it's like, you know, I'm in the creation phase or whatever. I get used to. I don't really have to like check all these messages and whatever. I'm only getting like 1 or 2 important ones every day. And, you know, Kayla, my manager, can generally sort it all out and stuff. But then in everything comes in waves, and the big crests can be very large. And it's just like, I'm overwhelmed and I just need to like go take a nap. But I feel like I have to read all these things.
You know, because you use the word, I know you're a math nerd, but I'm a word nerd. And I know we can be overwhelmed and underwhelmed, but can we be whelmed?
Can't be whelmed. My goal in life is to become whelmed.
Whatever it may be.
Like a base state of whelmedness. Yeah.
Now, musical talent. You said you played the cello as a kid. I do know your parents are pretty musical too. Talk to me about that. My
parents met in music school. They were in the college opera. My dad was singing in the opera and my mom was playing piano. My mom is a piano teacher and she taught me piano starting when I was 4 until I was 14 because I was going to high school then and I was trying to play baseball and basketball and also continue to play cello, and I just didn't have enough time to like be good at another thing. Like I still play piano all the time, and I'm so thankful that I took lessons because it made all the other music stuff way easier. My mom is also a big like music theory person, and so she had me doing like workbooks. She called them activity books before I started taking piano lessons when I was like 3. I was like, hey mom, can I take piano lessons? She said, no, but you can do these activity books. And I'm like, cool, activity books, puzzles, whatever. The puzzles are, hey, name this note. Like, what are the things on the clef? Like, tell me the sonority of this chord and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, that's so cool. This is major. This is minor. This is blah, 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 blah. And so by the time it came around to starting to play cello when I was 9, I'm like, I kind of got theory down. I generally know how music works. So I started playing cello when I was 9. Found my dad's old fretless bass guitar under the guest room bed when I was 12 and started playing fretless bass, which is not the greatest way to start playing bass, but it is a way to play.
Yeah.
And then started playing guitar when I was 16, and now I play all of those things to some extent.
Well, and your dad plays bass and sings in several DC area cover bands too, right?
He does. You've done your research. Yeah.
I got one in here I can't wait to hear the answer for.
He's a fun guy. He, I mean, in a lot of ways, but he just like, I've learned a lot from him. The way that he performs in his cover band is just like, if I am the most ridiculous kind of person in this place, like dancing, jumping around, doing weird stuff, then everybody else will feel comfortable to be weird too. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that is wise. That is wise. When I was a kid, I was like, oh my gosh, Dad, you're so embarrassing. But now that I'm an adult, I'm like, yeah, you got a point there.
No, there's a local cover. Well, there was. They're no longer together, but there was a local cover band. I used to go out and take the radio show out to bars and stuff like
Mhm.
that, and whatnot. Interface with local musicians, and there was a cover band that I really did enjoy called Tiny Lightning, and that was, I think, the big thing as to why they did so well and why they were so good is because their front person was a tiny little ball of energy,
Mm.
and like she would get out there and she would sing and she would jump around and she would dance, and like I think she was like a good 5 to 10 years older than I was at that time,
Mm.
and it was just amazing because you get the crowd on your side, and
Mhm.
that's the big thing is they want to like you.
True. I notice how much, like, this is a weird word, but like cuteness is underrated. Of
Mhm.
just like when someone's like, "Oh man, you know what? They're really having fun. I can have fun too." You know, that kind of thing of just like, there is a lot of, and I have done it a lot of like, I'm a serious musician. I'm talking about serious subjects and blah blah blah. And you should like sit and ponder my words and my songs and my lyrics or whatever. But I found that I always have more fun when whoever's doing their thing is having more fun. So I might as well do the same thing.
Yeah, and, look, there is so much seriousness and so much fucking drag in the world that it's not a bad thing to have that fun, to have that whimsy, to have that energy about you, most of the time or every now and again, whatever fits you as a person.
Sure, sure.
So I get it, and it definitely comes through in some of your songs, because Adult is definitely a watching you go through all the stuff in the video was fun.
I'm so glad. That was such a fun video to make. Honestly, all of these videos were fun to make of season 1, which is my newest project. We are very, my team is small and we like to figure things out ourselves and kind of DIY it as much as we can, which means that the videos have low budgets and everything else has low budgets also.
But you couldn't tell though.
Which just means we have to be creative. We just have to be creative. And that is like the best part to me.
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't have known that it was low budget. I mean, okay, so you're not having a cinematic experience while you're listening to a song. Who fucking needs that?
Yeah, well, that's how I would want to consume. I have a new thing that has been like the entirety of this year of like, when it comes to what I post, what I make, blah blah blah. Like, if I would not consume it, I do not want to share it. You know, like there's a good amount of, and it's just another way to do things. It's not bad or anything, but like I have so many musician friends, and it's very much like, oh, like I gotta try and like make this content and like pitch my song and promo blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, but like this is being done the same way everywhere, and it's just like, here's my new song of blank blank blank. And I'm just like, I don't trust it anymore. I've seen enough of this and then not liked the song. I'm gonna keep scrolling or whatever.
Well, it's like the old days when you first started being able to get music online. What ended up happening was people got fed up with, 1 or 2 songs on the album being fire, and then the rest of the album being crap. So,
Right.
The advent of being able to download the songs you like was preferable. Of course, Napster came along, and we won't talk about that, but
And LimeWire.
yes, please give your parents' computer a virus.
Yes, exactly. in_the_end.mp333 Lincoln Park spelled wrong.
Lincoln, we're like the dude with the hat.
Yeah, I could do that, exactly.
But no, that was the big thing is, you got to the point where, you felt baited and switched. And, there's a lot of that going on, and not only music, but, movies and TV and stuff today that, I don't understand. Well, I do, because corporate commercial interests got a hold of everything and they think they know best.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I have no beef with anybody. However, it is fascinating to me to watch. Give it time, exactly. Yeah, no, I have chicken with everybody. It's funny to watch the industry, like especially the seasoned industry people who have like broken these great artists and they've created like these great spaces in music, try and figure out TikTok. It's just like, yeah, okay, all right, so we're gonna do this and this and this and this, and TikTok's like, nah, that's not it. We don't like it. Or Instagram Reels or YouTube or whatever the fuck it is. It's just like, yeah, it's funny. There is a new guard coming in, and also the time is right for those who are able to adapt well. And there are some very adaptable, intelligent people in the music industry that are doing a great job.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I've started, so I've been doing this for 15 years, and like, you know, I when the algorithm came along, I bucked against it. I was like, nah, fuck that. I don't need to learn this shit. And then I finally started to learn it, and I was like, this is stupid. This is dumb. Why did they do this? And then I started seeing numbers go up and up and up, and I'm like, all right, I still think it's stupid, but I'm gonna do it.
While it's here, it's like, yeah, you can either. I have in the way that I view it is like, there is a lot to complain about. Like, oh damn, this is so much harder. Oh, we're expected to post blank all the time. Yeah, but like, I don't ever spend money on advertising, and yet you found me.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can adapt.
Yep. Well, I'm a big fan of in the old days when I was doing things, guerrilla marketing. I would take a Sharpie with me, and any bathroom I visited, I would write my URL for the radio show on the bathroom wall.
Yeah.
Because you know what? You're sitting there shitting, you know, maybe your phone doesn't have enough charge. You look up. Well, that was back before everybody had these in their pocket, but
good grief, I know.
So, you know, you look up and be like, huh, I wonder what that is.
Yeah. And, you know, even if they don't check it out that one time, you know, when they go back to that bar sometime and they end up in there again, they see that and they're like, I still wonder what that is. And, you know, the second, third, fourth time they see it, they're like, okay, I'm going to check it out. And
no, I got smart. I started adding for a good time.
That's good. That's good. I'm sure that it is a good time.
It is.
It's just a different kind of good time than you usually find.
Yeah. For a good time, log on.
Right. Exactly.
But no, like I'll take stickers and stuff out into the wild. There's a lot of things people can do that they just don't think of. Like take stickers out into the wild with you and just start slapping them up all over the place.
Yeah.
You know, someone's going to see it and be like, what the fuck is that?
True.
Now I got to ask, why season? Like what was the thought process behind the album being like season 1?
Well, there's a few. First of all, it was just an interesting idea that one of my management team, Steven, had. He was like, what if we did like a season? I'm like, that sounds different and cool. All right, we'll figure out how to do it. And then I kind of like backfilled like the rest of the reasoning because it was just like, oh, that's different. Let's try it. Whatever. Into like, well, we're going to have full videos for everything. So every song is going to be like an episode. Also, like all of my songs on this project are structured like persuasive essays. They're like, here's my thesis and now I'm filling it all in or whatever it is. And so it's just like every song is a point. None of them are just like kind of just they're less like musings on a feeling and more like, here's my point, here's my supporting evidence, there you go, in a nice little catchy 2-minute 40-second package. And so doing the episodes and releasing one a week, being like, okay, this week we're going to talk about feeling like an adult. This week we're going to talk about why it's weird that the people that you date, you become strangers with afterward, after you like are, you know, have like such a meaningful relationship and stuff like that. It just kind of fell together that way. And also it all coincided with a very new, what I saw as a new season of just like new season of life of feeling like I grew up quite religious, and I was very devoutly religious for a long time, and then I kind of underwent some deconstruction over the past year. We already talked about the kind of realization that no one has the right answer and stuff, and I was like, okay, I feel like a completely different person now than the person who was releasing a song a month for 30 months. So let's talk about seasons, and I'm sure that whenever season 2 comes out, a year from now or 6 months from now or whatever, I will be again in a different place. So that'll be another season to talk about.
Well, one of the things there's a question that I usually end up asking all the people that I interview that are in TV and movies is, we all have seasons of our life. What was one of your
Mm.
best seasons? What was one of your
Mm.
worst seasons and whatnot? So like, I keyed into the fact that you called it season one, and that's what I kind of thought you were going with, but as the interviewer, you don't want to lead.
Sure, absolutely. It is it also, I really like that it is season one specifically, because I've been making music for a really long time.
I know.
But I'm trying a new thing, and it's just like, okay, I'm going to introduce myself again. This is season one. This is the beginning of this type of artistry or whatever. And that way we can just move on from there. And you can still go back and listen to the old stuff, but that old stuff, while I'm sure that it is great and some people might love it, it is not what I feel drawn to do with my life.
You mentioned that you've been making music for a long time. Talk to me about Mac Russell. May he rest in peace.
May he rest in peace. Oh, Mac Russell. The day before prom, my high school senior prom, I was driving down with my family to go to my cousin's wedding. And I was like, man, I really like making music, but I feel like Ian McConnell is a dumb name for indie rock artists like me. So I need a stage name. And my middle name is Russell and my last name is McConnell. So we got Mac Russell from that. And for 4 years, I was Mac Russell, playing music all through college and stuff like that. I put out an album as Mac Russell. I had an engineer in the studio. I didn't really understand what that meant. I assumed that meant producer. It did not. So that meant that I basically orchestrated and produced everything without knowing anything about orchestration or production. And so it just doesn't sound super good. But it's funny when I listen back to my old Mac Russell stuff, I'll be like, this is not complete in any way. But there are little bits where I'm like, that turned into something later. That turned into something, like that was a real asset to me. Like just kind of telling jokes in the song and like really roundabout ways of getting back to the point kind of vibes.
It's brilliant.
Yeah. But I had a good time as Mac Russell. And then I came to Nashville between my junior and senior year of college in that summer. And I wrote music here as Mac Russell, and then decided that Ian McConnell was probably going to be the better bet for my long-term musical success.
Well, it's either Ian McConnell or Kroger brand Ed Sheeran, right?
Or Sexy Kermit the Frog.
Yeah. Well, you don't look green.
I don't, but I sound like Kermit the Frog when I sing high.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to ask, with the whirlwind that has been going on, how do you deal with burnout?
I already dealt with burnout. I'm over it now. I burned out last year. I burned out towards the end of my. So to recap, I write all my own music, either by myself or like with my friends who are writers in town. And then I produce and mix and master it all right here in this little corner studio of my bedroom. And I released a song every month for 30 months, starting in 2019 and ending last October. And I was doing that for a long time. And I started picking up more things when the pandemic hit, because I was like, well, I'm not going out. I'm not like playing as many cover gigs or whatever, which was my day job for a long time. So I started like, doing lots and lots of online things, and also like continuing the song a month, and also just trying to do everything. And then pandemic kind of petered out, or whatever. We decided to stop paying attention to it. And I was trying to go on tour, and I was trying to make merch, and I was trying to create new things, and I was trying to figure out who I was all at the same time. And I was just like, dude, I don't know. Like, everybody thinks that I like love making music, but like, I don't know if I love it enough. Like, this is so hard. There's so many things that I just like have never considered. And I'm just like, I feel like this thing that I love, that I made into work because I was told to do what I love for work, and you never work a day in your life, just made the thing that I love into work. And now when I try to escape with the thing that I used to escape work with, I don't have anything to escape with, because that thing of making music is work. So it's like, okay, stop doing work and go do work instead. And so I burned out pretty hard in September, October, and I just took a little time off, which was great because in those two months of taking off, I then wrote all of season 1. And now I feel I have realized, and I'm sure that I will have to remind myself of this again, but like, as much as I love watching the numbers climb and the, people reaching out, oh my gosh, like, I love your stuff. And I do love it. It means a lot that I am talking about my just like regular daily life experiences. And people are like, yes, I feel like that too. That makes me feel less alone and all that stuff. I have found that I'm happiest when I go in and hang out with my friends, or I'm reading a good book, or I go for lots of walks, or whatever it is. And that just leads to new ideas for creating new things. So right now, I don't feel burned out at all, but it's a recent phenomenon.
Well, and there's something to be said too, because like fame's only good for filling your pockets. It's not going to fill
Sometimes.
anything inside. Well, no, it's not going to fill anything inside you because fame is fickle.
But sometimes it won't fill your pockets either.
Well, that's true. But yeah, like there's a lot of people that, will get into whether it's streaming or music or whatever, and hope that it fills some void inside of them. And, it might patch the walls of the void, but it's not going to fill the whole, like, genuine human interaction and experiences will. Sure. At least in my opinion.
I think that you are onto something with that. It is interesting, though, because, like, I have lots of different goals in life. But when my one goal was just, like, make it in music, and, like, what is that? That's not specific. That's not any of the SMART goal acronym or whatever. It's it's just like, okay, well, I'm gonna do it, and then you're just like, well, some people would consider what I have done now making it. So like, now what? What's the purpose? Where do we go from here?
You keep trying to ride the wave.
Yeah, well, you keep trying to ride the wave until the wave inevitably crashes, because things just go like this, And sometimes they go up, but they still have dips and whatever, and sometimes they don't. Sometimes you just stay in the same place for a while, which is also okay. It's just like everybody's on different timelines and whatever, and I have to remind myself of this all the damn time. But like, those crashes are like, while they suck in the moment, I'm just like so happy that they happen, because it's just like, okay, remember that your worth is not wrapped up in whether or not 100,000 or 1 million people saw your video today. It doesn't really matter, like, especially, when you make something that's cool, I can post 10 videos of it and one of them can be seen 3 million times or whatever, and the other ones might not, but it doesn't matter, because the people that were meant to find the song have now found the song. And if they love it, they'll tell their friends. And if their friends love it, they'll tell their friends. And then I just get to keep reading my book or hanging out with my friends. And I'm, making sleep money or whatever it is. The fractions of cents are rolling in.
All I imagine is this. Hey, Ian, your song just hit 300 million. Huh? Cool. Yeah.
It is cool. And that's something I've never been super great at celebrating things. At celebrating, like, I love daily life and just like going about my business so much that like when, it's like, your song hit 1 million, you got 10 million blank blanks or whatever. It's like, we should go celebrate. I'm like, all right. That sounds like a fun thing to do tonight. But like, I hope when we all get together, we don't make this about me, because I just want to have a nice time.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, because I was just talking to a friend about this yesterday. So I do this on Friday nights. I'm live. I've got all this energy. I'm on it. I'm on point, on top of things. Yeah. But then when I go hang out with friends, or like if I join someone else's show or join someone else's stream, like when they're playing video games and stuff, I take a back seat. It's not my show. I'm funny, but I'm not there to be that all the time. Like, and I get my friends get frustrated at me, like, dude, I brought you in so you could be you. Like, well, this is me. That guy, he got 3 hours to fill.
Yeah,
it's all him.
It is. I think that it's overlooked, and that might be too blanket of a statement. I try not to attribute my feelings to other people too, but I get the sense that it is not perceived super clearly that you and I play characters that are similar to ourselves, but they are characters. Like exactly who I am, like the entirety of Ian McConnell lowercase, not Ian McConnell music, is not all expressed in my music or my TikTok personality or whatever. Like I have all these other likes and things that I want to keep private because I like that they are private and stuff like that. But folks, if they're like, wow, you're always so happy and bubbly, you're just like, well, yeah, when I'm on camera because that's fun. But like when I'm just like chilling and it's 11 p.m. at night and I like smoke some weed and I'm playing Pokemon, like I'm not happy and bubbly. I'm just like doing my thing,
Yeah, very much so. I turn into a vegetable, and like I too smoke weed, and I'll turn on like one of my TV shows or a movie that I've seen a million times, and I become one with my armchair. Like
Yes.
I am not hip, I am not cool, I am not, on, as they say. I am very much off duty. Click.
Yeah.
So I know your music has inspired others. And I know you yourself have started inspiring, because I read the comments and stuff on your TikToks. Who inspires you?
That is a great question that I have been asked a lot recently, which I think is a good question because when I look at my music, I also wonder that now. Like, how did you get there? How is this where you wound up? But the one great overpowering influence that I always have had and will have is Taylor Swift. I love the way that she is one of the best storytellers probably to ever exist. She's just like her way of communicating things in like very simple language, but like very complex thoughts in simple language is just so admirable. And I've learned so much from her writing and also from Casey Musgrave's writing. Also, they both just like rock at creating feeling out of story and presenting it in a way that you're just like, they're just talking about their real life. They're not trying to be this larger than life figure. They've both now ended up as larger than life figures by talking about things that are not larger than life, but I love Billy Joel. I love Blink-182. I love, as you see my little Blink-182 poster back here. And the way that they just like, I love the artists who are able to like kind of, make talk about serious things or not talk about serious things and talk about just like silly run of the mill stuff. Yeah, I've been listening to so much Billy Joel lately, and just recognizing how similar, how much I've copied from his stuff, especially like his stuff from the 70s of just like, the Stranger album, like She's Always a Woman and Moving Out. It's like each of these songs are like painting a picture. And once you're done with the picture, you're like, I see what your point was. All right.
They say cool. Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery.
Yeah. Man, I would love to. Well, I don't know. I'm in a phase of like, I've met like now a couple of my heroes and all of them, I'm just like, I've left lacking a little bit. Maybe I just want to enjoy your art. Or, as the star continues to rise, the opportunities to work with other people also come up more often and stuff like that. And there are some people where I'm just like, I don't know what I can add to your thing, and I don't know what you can add to my thing. So I almost don't want to meet you because I just want to like from afar be like, I love this album you made or this book you wrote or this television show you made or whatever, because I'm afraid of getting to know them and being like, cool.
You're a piece of shit. Damn.
Yeah, not even that, but just like, okay, the way that you express yourself when you have the time to sit and ponder your thoughts and like get it into this thing, the way that you express yourself this way is so incredible. And I can see that you are not that talented at doing that in the moment.
Well, and I guess the thing, and I've said this numerous times, and I'm sure you already know this, but the thing that you should keep in mind is no matter what you have them built up in your head as, they are still just people. That's it.
You're so right.
And people are inherently flawed. And, I've had a few of those experiences myself where I've met some of my heroes or met some of my, media icons and whatnot. And yeah, it was a very flat experience.
Sure. And that's not necessarily a bad thing
No.
that, but I think that there is some merit in like, I am aware that they are just people, but I like having a couple of idols and just being like, oh, they can do no wrong. They're blank, blank, blank. And in order to keep that, I'm aware, false image of anybody, you kind of have to distance. Exactly. You just don't meet them. There you go. If you never meet them and you never know who they really are, they can be anybody.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
They can be anybody that you need them to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let's see. Who inspires you? Like, I have to go back to the Kroger brand Ed Sheeran thing because, like, it's hilarious. Like, again, your bio, full of snark, one of the best bios that I've ever read. And when I first saw you, I was like, God, he looks so familiar. Why do I know him? And then I had received the bio and was reading through it, and I got to that part, and I was like, that's why.
That's why. Yeah. All of those things in the bio, just things I've been called or whatever. I have actually just been called I love my favorite thing. I've always wanted haters, because I knew that whenever the haters came around, that meant I was doing something worthwhile. And now I finally got, no one's like real. I mean, there are some people who are like kind of mean and I'm just like, all right, that's just like, whatever. But for the most part, it's all just like kind of roasting and it's hilarious, and I just like, sometimes I'll scroll through just to find the mean comments because I think they're so funny. But I've gotten the Kroger brand Ed Sheeran or just like whatever, Walmart brand Ed Sheeran, like generic, whatever. And I find it very funny.
You do need to tell your mods though in your live to back it down just a little bit.
Yeah.
On TikTok. Because my wife got banned.
She got banned?
From your live, yeah.
How did that happen? I don't have any mods.
Oh, well, because she was in a live recently that you had done, probably within this last week. And she had mentioned that she's excited because you were going to be doing this interview with me. And she got kicked from the live. Like her comment got deleted and she got kicked.
That's not us. That's TikTok. TikTok won't let you talk about other platforms on their platform because they do not want you to leave the platform.
But I'm on TikTok. That's the thing.
Then
she didn't say a URL or anything like that. It wasn't like, oh, I can't wait to see this video when it hits YouTube or yada, 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 or anything like that. Yeah, her comment was deleted and she was banned from your live.
That's so weird. Yeah. Well, that wasn't us. I don't even know how to do that. I'm not going to say.
Okay. I'll let her know.
I'm sure I could figure it out, but it wasn't me.
Yeah, she was.
And I'm sorry that she was banned. I'm sure that, that was kind of a bummer.
I also have to, before the interview is over, I do have to keep you long enough for her to be able to come down and say hello because she is a huge fan.
Yeah, no problem. That's awesome.
Let's see. So growing up, you had two very musical parents. Like, what do they think of your success at this point?
I'm going and spending a couple weeks with them in August, which will be kind of like a little bit of a reset point before starting to work on the next thing. And my sister's going to be back and stuff like that. We're all going to be in the house that my sister and I grew up in for a couple of weeks. It's been interesting. I have always been, and I've learned this in therapy, shout out therapy. I am very it gives me a lot of anxiety being afraid that I'm going to disappoint people, specifically people that I love, specifically in this case, my parents. And I always have wanted to make them proud and all this stuff. And at some point it started I noticed that I was choosing what to talk about in my artistry and stuff based on things that I knew that my parents would be okay with, or that I could avoid a difficult conversation with them and stuff. And this year we had like a sit down FaceTime of, hey, I am making some different kind of music now. I'm going to talk about things that we have not talked about. But this is my experience and I really want to share that, stuff like that. Which included kind of the distance that I have taken from the Christianity that I grew up with. And I think that made them sad, because I think, a lot of, especially the religion stuff, is just a really big part of their life, and it's given them a lot of happiness and belonging, and they want that for me too, and all that stuff. And I very much understand, but I'm excited to spend some time with them and talk about like what the impressions are, because it's interesting that, like, this is really, I mean, this project is the first time that I've talked about anything that is not like stuff that songs just regularly talk about. And it seems to be doing very well, and it seems to be resonating well. So it is clear that I'm not the only one who feels a lot of these things, but I'm excited to have just a little more of a full conversation about how they feel about it, how I feel about it, how whatever. I'm in my phase of let's communicate really well kind of stuff. Because I just find it interesting, and it's hard, but it's always so rewarding, and so I don't really know, but I'm looking forward to finding out.
Well, I think too, and this is my history working in the mental health field. I think what happens is there's two problems that I see in communication a lot of times between parents and children. One, parents forget that the whole idea is for the child to go out and find their own identity, to become their own individual, despite whatever programming, indoctrination, or raising, however you want to say it, has been, the base foundation for raising said child. And when they go out and they do things that are against that foundation, I know parents tend to get disappointed, but they really shouldn't, because they raised an individual. And that's what we should be. You don't want mindless little automatons. You want individuals.
Right.
And I think the flip side of that too is that we as children have to remember that our parents are just as fucked up as we are. I don't care if it looks like they have their shit together. Nobody knows what the hell they're talking about. And there's no manual that comes along with being a parent. When you're raising a child, you're all just doing the best that you can with the resources and the tools at your disposal, whether it's outwardly or inwardly. And so that conversation between parent and child, like there just needs to be like a truce. Like, I get it. This isn't what you would do, but you're not me. And whatever screwed up shit you did, I get it. You did the best that you could. Let's just move forward.
Sure. I very much agree with you. And by all metrics, and also by my own observation, I have wonderful parents. They're wonderful people, and I think that they did a great job. I turned out generally fine. And so, you know what? That's great. But it's such an adjustment also from like in my head, it's kind of, I kind of had to sit back and be like, all right, who am I doing whatever I'm doing for? Am I doing it for me? Am I doing it for my parents? Am I doing it for my friends, my whatever, like whatever it is, like who are you doing it for? Because it does make a difference. And it's now that like I am an adult and I'm aware that I'm an adult, because I was an adult for a while without being aware of it. But I'm an adult and my parents are adults. Like in theory, whenever we'll figure it out. We always do, and it'll be fine.
I hope for you to be pleasantly surprised by your conversation with your parents.
I think that I can't say I think that I will be, because then it wouldn't be surprising. It would be meeting expectations. But
that's why I said hope.
Yeah, exactly. They're cool. I'm looking forward to just chatting with them as people and stuff like that.
And I'm sure it'll also be nice to have one of those down moments where you're not Ian McConnell, the musician, you're Ian McConnell, the person.
Right. Yeah. Being Ian McConnell, the musician is always strange to me, especially because a lot of what I have done has been through the internet or whatever. And it's very much just like, dude, make the video, caption it, whatever, post it, go away and come back later and
start a load of laundry.
1200 comments or whatever. Oh my God, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, all right, well, cool. the numbers look good, but these are just numbers to me because I don't see any faces.
Well, and that's the thing too, is like notoriety or fame or however popularity, however you want to classify it, has become a very surreal thing these days. Because, like you said, you're in your house, you're in your room, you're doing things virtually, you're online, you post the video, and then what? Like I said, you go start a load of laundry, you take the dog for a walk, you go eat a bowl of cereal. Like there's this weird disconnect when you're trying to be internet famous or you're on that internet fame arc, where it is like it is just that you drop it and then you walk away and you come back later and either it blew up or nobody paid attention to it.
Yeah, it's true. And whatever happened, like whatever I'm doing in the meantime will not alter that outcome.
Nope.
So, and for a little while, it's always like kind of addictive to just like watch the likes roll in or whatever. But then you're like, I'm going to watch the likes roll in today. And you're like, today is not the day that the likes are rolling in. And you're just like, I'm a failure. No one likes me.
You're sitting there picking up dog shit in the yard and get a call like, have you seen your video? No, I'm picking up dog shit. What?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
All right, man. So I think we got a good idea of who you are, which is basically still finding out who you are.
Very much so.
Ian, tell me a story.
All right. I remembered that we were doing this. We got on this call at 10 o'clock. I remembered we were doing this part at 9:56. But I think I got one. All right. So when I was young, up through about age 12, anytime that I would lie down, I always felt like I needed to throw up. And I was just like, what is going on? And especially it was bad if we used to go when I was younger to, I grew up in Northern Virginia, and we would go to Wolf Trap, which is the performing arts. I think it's a national park, but for the performing arts, and they have concerts and they have symphonies and shows and whatever. And we would go, and I would always I really liked this one bag of chips that they had there. That was something in chive or whatever. And every time I would eat it, I was like, man, this is delicious. And then I would go home and throw up. So I was like, I must be allergic to chives. And my dentist, when I was growing up, was like, what is the deal with Ian's teeth? Like, what's the problem? Does he drink a lot of juice? And my mom was like, no, he never drinks juice. He pretty much just drinks water. And they're like, well, his teeth are eroding. They're and these were my baby teeth. My current teeth are fine. But they're acid eroding. And so my doctors were like, well, maybe he's got acid reflux or something, and it's just really bad. But to find out, what we need to do is we need to stick this tube down your throat and leave it there for 24 hours. But I don't know if it's related to this. I'm a very ticklish person. I have a low tolerance for pain and just anything touching my body or anything. But when they were trying to put this in, I was just gagging and throwing up blood and all this stuff. And my mom was like, you know what? I don't think we need to find out. How can we just treat it like he's got it? And they were like, I mean, I guess so. And then a year later, I never felt sick again.
Sometimes the treatment is worse, or the experimentation
the
is worse
diagnosis.
than the treatment. Yeah.
Yeah. But man, that was wild. It's so interesting to think back, and because I never think about that anymore, but to think back and to remember, because I do remember any time that I would lie down, full nausea all the time up through age 12. Yeah. Wild stuff. Now I don't do that. Now I eat spicy ass wings and I'm good.
You got about 15 years, bud.
Yeah, and then it'll come back. Hooray.
Yeah, because if I lay on my right side, I get acid reflux.
Fascinating.
Yeah. So you got about 15 years, bud. Enjoy it.
Okay, I will. I'll eat as much spicy stuff as I can. Although maybe that will make it worse down the line.
It could exacerbate it and speed up the process.
Right.
Stay at the current level of spicy. Don't get too wild.
Yeah.
And listen to your body as you get older, because it will tell you what you should stop doing.
Yeah. I think you're right.
Yeah, I'm to the point, I had my gallbladder removed. I can't eat beef. I got to be very careful with spicy food. I can't do ice cream. It's getting older sucks.
I understand.
But I will tell you that I identified with the song "Adult" because I really don't like it. I'm not
it's
fan
so
of becoming
interesting.
an
Like,
adult.
part of why I love that it's part of season one is that even since writing that song, and I wrote that song back in September of last year, it's the oldest song on season one. I kind of do like it. I've like kind of figured it out now, and like at least to the place that I'm in now, I'm like, I say in the song like I'm pretty sure I really don't like it. But at the time that was true, and now I'm just like I can kind of make this whatever I want to make it. And like there are definitely parts about it that I don't like as much. I feel definitely like less grounded in like what the way that I see the world. And I'm just like, I just like don't know if I know what's right or wrong or whatever. I'm just like, but I have realized that you can just kind of pick a way to go about things. And if it starts causing you problems, switch.
Yeah. I'm here to tell you, at 40 years old, man, I still don't have any answers. And every day is flying by the seat of my pants.
Yeah. But isn't that like a little bit fun? Because it's like an adventure
totally.
every day.
Yeah. Yeah. It's terrifying and anxiety inducing and, just a real roller coaster. However, you survive. Like you're
until you don't.
Yeah. And then when you don't anymore, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. I don't have to worry about it anymore.
My wife will occasionally joke with me. She's like, I'll kill you. Like just jokingly, like I'll say something stupid or I'll annoy the hell out of her. And I'm like, you cannot threaten me with death. I was like, because it means I don't have to pay taxes anymore.
Right, I know. And you know who suffers the most when you die is your wife.
Everyone else. So, yeah.
Yeah, everyone else.
So, all right, man. It is time for interview roulette. Are you ready?
Let's go. I'm pumped. Yeah.
All right. So you picked 5 numbers before we started. And these are the questions that correspond to them. And we can talk a little bit about them too, if you want in between answers.
Cool.
First question, what upcoming life event are you most excited about?
I am going to New York City for just one day with my sister to see Harry Potter and the Cursed Child on Broadway. And I am so pumped, mostly because my sister and I don't do like a lot of stuff, just the two of us. And I'm excited to have a whole day of just like seeing her. She's recently become an adult. She's 23 now. And just like we've gotten a lot closer as we've both just grown up and stuff like that. And I'm excited to spend that time with her. She lives in LA now, so I don't see her that often.
Well, I hope you guys have fun. I've heard it's a really good show.
Yeah, I'm really pumped.
Elvis or the Beatles, and why?
The Beatles. I just have that more nostalgic value to the Beatles. Also, I like some of the Beatles I found through my dad, who just liked the Beatles, and some of the Beatles, he really liked kind of the early I Want to Hold Your Hand kind of stuff. And then I found like Sgt. Pepper and the White Album and when I was 8th or 9th grade, and I was like, this is so awesome. This is so cool and weird and whatever. And Elvis, I just didn't really listen to. Like no one was around me saying you should listen to Elvis, so I didn't.
I'm a Beatles guy myself. My mom liked all the goofy songs like Octopus's Garden and Maxwell's Silver Hammer.
Yeah. I mean, there's merit. There's merit. The great thing about the Beatles is they really do have range. Mm-hmm. They just tried a lot of stuff, and some of it is I think is better than others, and some of it is just like, well, no one had tried that, so that just makes it automatically pretty cool.
No one had tried it, and we found out why. Moving on.
Right, exactly.
What's your favorite Beatles song? Like, what's your go-to?
I mean, my go-to is also I Want to Hold Your Hand. I love that one. But I also really love, what is the one on Revolver? Now I can't remember. Revolver is my favorite of the albums, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of music did your parents listen to, and do you think it had any influence on the type of music that you create? My parents now listen to different stuff than when we were growing up. They were really into specific artists. And I think that really did kind of transfer to me. I really love just like getting really into an artist and like listening to albums over listening to playlists and stuff like that.
But when I was growing up, it was at the time the Dixie Chicks. They're now the Chicks. They were really into Lyle Lovett, who is also really creative. I really like Lyle Lovett too. Who else were they into? The Beatles, kind of like, and also like big band swing kind of stuff, which is still fun. I don't listen to that on a regular basis, but every time I hear it, I'm like, this kind of reminds me of being like 8. Cool. Yeah, and then my dad had like one playlist of popular songs, and it had like "Complicated" by Avril Lavigne, and "All Star" by Smash Mouth, and "1,000 Miles" by Vanessa Carlton, and then so I was really into that for a while, and then I started kind of finding my own music.
So I'm pretty sure if anyone's looking for a good show in the DC area, he'll be covering Avril Lavigne's "Complicated" somewhere, right?
That is probably true. Yeah.
All right. What cheesy or embarrassing song do you have to sing along with when you hear it?
What cheesy or embarrassing song? I'm generally not embarrassed by the things that I listen to. I like what I like, and it's fun. I don't see them as guilty pleasures. But man, I can't. Breaking Free from High School Musical. You know the world can see us. That shit is awesome. Every time that I hear it, I'm like, just you want to just like, yeah, I love that. High School Musical is my shit, dude. I was actually Chad in my 8th grade production of High School Musical because I was the only person in the cast that knew how to dribble a basketball.
It's a weird but interesting fact.
Yeah.
I'll give you my guilty pleasure because I do believe in guilty pleasures. The song that I have to sing along to every time it comes on the radio is either All About the Bass or Dear Future Husband by Meghan Trainor.
Both bangers, dude. Yeah, that whole record is full of bangers. And then she came out with the next one that's like, my name is No, my sign is No. And I'm like, that's pretty clever too.
Yeah.
She's cool.
Now imagine a 40-year-old bald white man sitting in the car next to you, just belting out at the top of his lungs.
I love it. That brings so much joy to everybody.
It's that entertainer spirit.
Yeah, yeah.
And then finally, describe your dream home.
Oh man, the house itself doesn't matter. All I want is a screen porch with a swing on it, so I can swing and I can like not be bothered by mosquitoes. But even when it's raining, I can sit outside. I just love sitting outside. Oh, bonus. If I have like a real fancy one and I can like get a little like fireplace kind of in there so I can sit out there when it's cold too. Oh, that's good. That's
just move
good.
to a climate where it doesn't get cold.
What's that?
I said just move to a climate that it doesn't get cold.
That's true, although I think in the coming years, places where it doesn't get cold are going to become very hot.
We're all going to be very hot.
Very hot.
Yeah. Yeah, I lived in Tucson for about 2 years, and dealing with 110, 115 on a regular basis was an experience.
Yeah. That's really hot.
I know.
We love to talk about the humidity here in Tennessee, but it really is very humid here.
Well, I mean, I'm in Michigan, so we have the same humidity. It's
sure.
It's like walking outside trying to breathe through soup.
Yep. Yeah.
All right. That's it, man. That's all of them.
All right.
I hope you had fun. Yeah.
I did have a great time. I hope you had fun.
Oh, I always do. I want to thank you again for joining me. And like I said, all the links and stuff that we have for you will get put up with the interview.